These are the Potter girls. They lived across the street from me in Maple Hills.
Are those pants high enough?
I don't know why they're up there. They're really up there though.
I'm Barbara, been married to this Fernandez fella for almost 65 years.
And I am, as everybody knows, Jim Fernandez, married to this young lady over here for 65 years. I'd like to talk about this photo. So this is a picture of my mother, grandmother, and cousin Mary from California. And of course, Jim tells the story about great-grandma chasing him around with the teeth out. He's running like a demon and get away from her. Okay, Barb, you got a picture?
I was just noticing this picture is my mom and her older brother, Uncle Earl, and the baby, Uncle Jay. This was taken probably in the early 1920s. And my mom must have been about 4.
And where was Grandma born?
Rexburg, Idaho.
Here's a picture of me riding my little goat. I had trouble with allergies, and so the doctor said it'd be better for me to drink goat's milk. So we always had a goat that Mom would milk. I never milked it. The goat would kick Mom, and Mom would kick the goat. And Mom could kick better than the goat.
Oh, well, here's a good one. Oh, this is my dad. He was quite the swimmer. So that was probably taken in the 1930s.
Here I am with my dad, May 15th, 1939. It looks like we're blowing a kiss. It probably was blowing a kiss.
Probably. Well, my dad's side of the family came from Wisconsin. My granddad moved out to Washington State in the early 20s. He and my grandmother had been divorced, so he had gone back to visit his mother and found an old girlfriend. Her name's Alfreda. That's my granddad, Elmer, and that's his oldest daughter from his second marriage, my half-aunt Dina, who is probably the best storyteller around besides my daughter Diana.
So here's me when I was a year old with my mom, and here's one for me with different ages. Go ahead, honey, you're next.
Oh, well, I hadn't really looked through all these pictures, and I have this package of the Lefevre side of the family.
Who gave you those pictures?
My dad's cousin, Jerry Lefevre. That's Uncle George over here. He is my great-grandmother's little brother, George's son. His son, Bill, did a biographical thing of the Lefevres, and there's a picture of these people on this house, and he's naming all these people in the picture and an unknown lady. And I looked at that picture, I said, oh, here's my grandma. He didn't know that was his grandpa's sister.
So here's a picture of my mom and dad and Andy's daughter, Ronnie, and myself. Of course, all my clothes are all used clothes because I had to wear my brother's old clothes.
That must be why they're always hiked up so high.
Here I am in my cowboy outfit. I was a cowboy. I just loved cowboys. And I loved Roy Rogers and Gene Autry. I got really mad at Roy Rogers when he married Gail Evans. Just like I was crushed. I said, what does a cowboy need a girl for? So here's a picture of the FFA in Kelso. And my brother Andy is right there. Andy was outstanding in FFA. He stayed a farmer his entire life. And my uncle Al is right there. And they were both in FFA. And Andy was a year and a half younger. He'd always call him the kid. How's the kid doing? Here's my Uncle Al and my grandmother. This is up on the farm, of course. Here's a picture of my Uncle Al and I down at the beach because he retired down there. Al lived to be 95 and a half years old. And then here's a picture of my brother Andy and Marlene in China at the wall. They did a lot of traveling. Of course, Andy was an airline pilot, so he could get tickets anywhere, and she was a travel agent, so we went every place you could think of. Here's one with my sister Carmen, which you don't see very often, and my sister Betty and my brother Andy. But Carmen, you very seldom see in any pictures.
I guess I'm more intrigued to know more about his pictures than my own. This picture intrigues me. These are the 3 Carrasco kids that came over to this country in 1913 because Grandma was 11 and she was born in 1902. So anyway, this is a picture in Oregon City of the 3 kids who came over from Spain. So there's Lucy, who is the oldest. The youngest is John, or Juan. And the next one, Frank. So these 3 were born in Spain, and then the last 3 were born over here in this country.
This picture really warms my heart when I see it. It's got all my brothers and it's got my uncles. Well, that's my Uncle Andrew, and this is Tony Midas from California. He'd come out and stay with us. His brother Gus would come out and stay. This is my brother Gus back here. Gus was really popular. A lot of the football players would come up there to eat. So here's Mom fixing, for 6, 7 people, and then she had 2 or 3 football players coming up there. Russell Scott said, I have never seen a frying pan like your mother had for the spuds. And then I'd get like a handful in my dish, and Gus would eat half of those. He'd say, Jim, did you see that duck? And I said, what? I turned my head like that, and I hear click, click, click. And this is Frankie, Uncle John, and this is Uncle Al, and Andy is the catcher, and my brother Tony is the batter. This was the highlight of my life when I got to hang out with these guys.
Is this in Rose Valley?
Yeah, in Rose Valley we had 2 farms. My grandmother had a farm at the top of the road, and ours is in the middle of the road.
Maple Hill.
Maple Hill Road. So the 2 families were like one family. Here they're on the working farm up where my grandma owned it. Andrew, Elizabeth, Frank, Albert, and then Nita was the last one, which was a cousin. But they worked that farm all the time. And then this is a big picture of my grandmother. And they didn't like banks. They bought a house for her on 19th Avenue. She was sitting on the toilet and she was counting her money. And she happened to look up, and the neighbor was working on his roof. He could look right through the So, it's like, oh no, I'm gonna get robbed.
She wasn't worried about being exposed.
No, she didn't care about that.
She wouldn't care anyway, no.
Go ahead.
I'm
You
done.
got a bunch of, grab a picture and talk about it.
People.
This picture is one of my favorites. Isn't that a great picture? Look how beautiful she is.
It was at a recital, and I think I made a mistake, but I just kept right on going. And afterwards, my piano teacher was just so happy. She said, you just kept right on going like a real trooper. Now, these are some pictures that I was really looking for. This is my dad
There you go.
when he was a little guy. And my grandparents on my dad's side were divorced when he was just a little guy. She passed away when my dad was 7. And the 2 grandmas, the maternal grandma and the paternal grandma, fought for the kids. These are the kids that had to go to court. And this is in the courtroom. That's my dad, Norbert, and Millie. They were raised by their dad. Millie came out to be with her dad, but he was a bachelor. She went back to live with my great-grandma, so she lived in Wisconsin. And my granddad married after he got out here and had 3 more kids, 2 girls and a boy. The oldest is just 8 years older than me. The middle girl was probably 6.5 years, and I think that Bill, the youngest, was only 5 years older than me.
At the back of this picture, it says, "Phooey." It's a look on her face.
That's what my mom said, yeah.
And look at these 2 pictures. Aren't they wonderful? Look at those. Grandpa tinted those.
Those are beautiful.
My uncle was a photographer, and he taught my dad how to tint. You had to gold tone them. So they would tint over kind of a brownish base rather than the black.
What's the one on the far right?
Oh, I was in the Girl Scouts. This is my mom when she was young. And this is my Uncle Earl. He was killed right after the surrender in Japan. They were doing cleanup and his Jeep went over a landmine and he was killed. He's 27 years old. And this is their mom, my grandma. Her maiden name was Wilson. Her parents are the ones who came over from England. Very interesting. I'm finding a picture that should be in your pictures.
We'll go ahead and talk about it.
This is the Rose Valley School picture. It's where he went to school, not me. But the people in this picture are a lot of my classmates, and I don't find him in here, so he must have been absent from school that day. My really good friend Phoebe, my friend June, Sharon. Well, these kids started coming to Kelso schools, where I was going to school, and in junior high school, which was 7th grade. And so all these kids went through the Kelso school system after they went to Rose Valley.
Why didn't you meet Dad?
His dad had passed away and they sold their house in Rose Valley, so he went to Longview schools and he graduated from R.A. Long.
What was your first job?
My first job? I've had lots of jobs. I babysat, then I was an usher in a theater, and then I went to work for a bank.
You both met at the movie theater.
We met at a movie theater. He was the doorman, and I worked in the concession stands.
So the manager, Basher, he had his wife
shame
on
on
the
you.
left-hand side of the theater. He had his girlfriend on the right-hand side of the theater. And his wife, he would take regular popcorn to, and the girlfriend, he'd take buttered popcorn to. Anyway, Barb and I were going together. I was kidding around, and she went out of the concession stand, and she forgot she had locked it when she walked out. She locked herself out. I took my shoes off, and I was standing on the glass counter. And just as I stepped on the counter, the door opened, and the manager walked in. I was his pride and joy. So he saw me standing on the counter, and he just shook his head and went upstairs. Barbara, she's always getting me in trouble.
Yeah.
Here's a picture of my brothers and sisters. So this is Betty and my brother Gus, and that's Andy. There's Al, my uncle, and Elizabeth, my aunt. That's my brother Tony, and that's Uncle Andrew. This is great. I love talking about all this stuff.
Yeah, I just ran across this. We were talking about my friends from Rose Valley School, and this is a picture of the birthday club, most of them. And this is my friend Phoebe. We mentioned her in that other picture. And we had wedding showers, then we had baby showers, and then we weren't getting together, so that's how the birthday club got started.
Here's a great picture. Betty and Herb's wedding, 1950. I was ring boy. After the wedding, we had a reception. They were pouring champagne into Betty's shoes and drinking from her shoes. My brother Gus would pick her up and stand her on the table, and she was like a doll. Her feet just started going just like that. And then Herb come over, grab her, take her, put her on the floor, and her feet were still going. Gus come over, pick her up, put her back on the table, and her feet were starting going. It was a great party. For a little kid, I just loved it. Oh my gosh.
So this was taken about 65 years ago when we got married. You see the resemblance?
Here's a picture of Barbara with Jim and Diana, and she's holding Nancy. You see how nice looking everybody is?
Was this just a Sunday?
Could have been Easter.
We would go over to Mom and Dad's almost every Sunday, and we'd have roast, and then Grandpa would holler at the TV for the football.
Green Bay Packers.
So here's the Young family when we were at 211 North 21st, Kelso. It must have been Easter because everybody's got their finery on. And this is our backyard at 417 26th Avenue in Longview. And it's got a lot of our kids, and it's got a lot of our uncles and aunts and some of their children too. So we had a lot of activities. We were always doing something. When we first got married, we moved into this one-bedroom basement apartment, and I was just happy as heck in that one bedroom. I thought we were going to be there forever. I came home one day and she said, we're moving. So was that when we went to 7th?
No, we lived in that basement apartment, then we went up on the hill to a triplex.
Oh. Barbara did all the thinking. I was just like a pawn. She was telling me what I was going to do. So here at Seattle Center, World Fair, we took all the kids to it. One of the stories that we tell, Carlene was running and she got scared.
Oh, on the ferry.
Barbara was chasing her and trying to call her back, and she says, "Boo, boo." Well, that was her nickname, Boo. So
We called her Boo Boo. I don't know why.
running behind her going, "Boo," and she's screaming, you know. Everybody's probably going, there's some mean parents.
Chasing a kid.
She's screaming. And here was our Greenbrier Chevrolet, unsafe at any speed. You'd be driving along, Joe, just a regular road, and all of a sudden the doors would open. And Jamie was riding in the, she was in the front, nobody was buckled in. I come to a stop and the door opened up and she had her fingers on the glass and she just swung out with the door.
He was stopped in front of my folks' house. I mean, really. I mean,
But
it's
still,
bad, but
she was
not
hanging
that
from
bad.
the door. The door just opened and she came out. So here we are at our place on 211 North 21st with my sister Betty, my mom, and Barbara. Here's Nancy's baptism dress. Not baptism, confirmation.
First communion.
First communion?
First communion.
That was close. Here's Rachel, Jake, and Luke.
They got in the 60s book.
Hey, listen, I am not trying to understand it. I just try to roll with the punches. Here's Jim and I at Boy Scout camp, Camp Merriweather, 1969. And so we went every year to a Boy Scout camp. And Jim was the troop leader. And here's our Scoutmaster, Chet, real character.
No, I think it was probably a church photo. Jimmy, Diana, me, Jim, Nancy, Carlene, Teresa, Annette, and Jamie. Twins hadn't come along yet.
Oh, here's when they dedicated Tam O'Shanter Park, May 22nd, 1971. They were dedicating that park. We played all those years. And here's Butch and his band. He had the American Legion. Oh, here it's called the Night Brigade.
Then he was in a band called the Old Spice.
Picture of Scott, Barbara's nephew.
Oh, yeah.
And there's Potsy Doodle. There's Jamie Lee at the old barn that Jim raised his pigs in. And here is Diana, Jim, and Potsy Doodle. And here we're at the beach,
Which beach was it, Papa?
Down by Long Beach.
Fort Classa. Because every year we went to Fort Stevens for 2 weeks. And then we go to Astoria and Fort Catsup.
One of the highlights would always be everybody piled into the car, and Diana would start a story as we backed out of the driveway. And as we pulled into our spot at Fort Stevens, she'd come to a close of the story.
She'd wind the story
And
up.
everybody was quiet. I mean, we loved it.
Here we are at the totem pole in Astoria. Jamie Lee's trying to make a break. She's trying to pull away from Barbara and Jim. She's all stretched out. I mean, her arms are all the way at max.
So this is my cousin Debbie's wedding, and that's my dad. He walked her down the aisle. And the twins were flower girls. They go around the corner like they're going to go down the aisle, and they spotted us, and they just
turned
came
in.
and sat down.
They knew where they were going. Yeah.
Our first Disneyland trip.
We had such a wonderful time there. I can still remember the day we walked up to the entrance, and our kids were just jumping everywhere. They're so excited. Then Robin and Renee went friggin' crazy.
We were in line, I think, for the teacups, and they were just pulling at me and just whining and crying, and I says, oh, shut up and have a good time. The lady behind me, she says, amen. We had a babysitter, Ruby, and she took care of Jamie and the twins for a period of time, and she would write different things that they would say. Renee's ramblings, my dad don't like you, Ruby. You know why? Because he likes my mom.
Oh yeah, they were always jealous. She always thought Ruby was trying to get me, you know.
I worked at the school district at the time. In those days, you had to get dressed up to go to work. We wore dresses and suits and high heels and whatnot. And of course, Ruby was the babysitter, so she'd have on her slacks or her jeans. You know, that's what they saw her in. So one day they looked at her and they said, Ruby, don't you have any dresses?
Oh, they're tough. Oh, that's my drawing.
Jamie and Annette and Teresa and Carlene.
Wow, I didn't know I had it in me.
Did you take classes at LCCA,
Yeah.
drawing classes?
Yeah.
Was there some picture that was on velvet at your mom's house?
Yeah. My mom loved the matadors, right?
Yeah.
I got her a painting of a bullfighter. And it was on velvet. And then I painted it for her. And then I framed it and I give it to her. And then the guy broke into her house and he stole it. And everybody said, he's really a bad guy. I said, well, he's not too bad. He liked that painting. A week later, we found it out in the garbage. I said, that dirty schmuck.
I guess a lot of football stuff going on here.
Yeah, that's for sure.
A lot of music. What's this one? That looks like Nancy back there.
Yeah, she was in the choir.
Yeah, most of the kids were in choir at some point. Our son, Jim, sang in high school, and here he is with a barbershop quartet.
Merrily we roll along, roll along, roll along. Merrily we roll along. All the deep blue sea.
Jim was in a lot of plays.
And here's Jim in Godspell. Oh, that was so
That was
good.
really good.
That's a big play. He was in that
Yeah.
1776.
So what role did he play?
John Adams.
He was John
It was
Adams.
John Adams.
Yeah.
Good role.
Yes, you are looking that good on, good on, good on.
He has has a gorgeous voice.
Oh,
I hate to
beautiful.
brag, but I will. I know my brother is there with a vase of money.
What was that for?
I don't know, it doesn't say.
Probably a wedding day or something. There's Potsy Doodle. Oh, Teresa, you're with Foley. So been piano.
Oh gosh, I cannot believe that.
There's Jim next to a motorhome, and there's a picture of me and all the guys in our safety work that we did.
One of the many papermaker workshop type things that Jim was in attendance to.
I was right in the middle of Weyerhaeuser. Whatever was going on, I was in the middle of it. Here's where we were working during the strike, and we were operators. That's Daryl Sherritt, myself. I'm the one over here with the beard.
What strike are you talking about?
72?
Yeah, 72, and the union shut down. They quit working, so they told us salary people to take all the jobs. So I was stock prep, but there's like 350 of those instruments, Joe. I had to know where all of them were and what they were doing. So I traveled a lot for Weyerhaeuser, and this is a picture of us in Japan. We made a presentation to the Nippon company over there. They always would bow to us, you know. And I'm thinking, you're just screwing with us. So they'd bow, and then I'd bow, and then they'd start to walk away, and then I did a quick bow. I couldn't help myself. And then they would be totally frustrated because they missed the bow. Is that our car? Don't recognize that car.
It's probably a rental.
Oh, yeah.
This
we were
is
over
Hawaii.
in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Oh, we were at Maui, and we went to Hana. There's Betty. I was filming Betty, and I said, Betty, announce where we're at. And so she's talking, and she goes,
Where are we at? Towards Hanoi?
I said, we're in Vietnam? I said, when did we get to Vietnam? Oh, Betty was something else. And we had, tell you, we had a good time. And then when we did the one in Hana, we stopped at this park, a really lush looking park.
As you can see, the pools continue up the hill, and the bathers and swimmers are all enjoying themselves.
Here was this small little crystal clear pool with a great big rock coming out. And then on the other side is the ocean. And there are two little boys, 7 and 10 years old. I said, what's going on, guys? And they said, oh, we're just looking out there, and we'd sure like to go swimming in that pool, and because there's an opening underneath, and you go underneath that rock, and there's a big room in there. I said, there is?
Yeah.
I said, well, I'm gonna go swim out. Okay, we'll go with you. I said, sure, let's go. And,
Somebody else's kids.
So I took the 2 kids, and the 3 of us swam out there, dived down, went underneath a ledge, and come up in this huge room. And so we were in there, looked around, spent some time in there, and then I said, well, let's go, guys. So we dove in and swam out. I asked them, I said, you guys ever go out there before? He said, oh, no, our parents won't let us go there. Look at that picture. Oh, that's a great picture. Here's Grandma with her friends, her birthday group. And here's Robin and Renee at the beach. And here we are on our camping trip with Robin, Renee.
Just you guys.
They're
went.
always so cantankerous.
To the beach.
Here we are. Where are we at here, Barney?
It looks like we're camping. There's Grace up there.
Oh yeah, there's pictures of our grandchildren.
Grandchildren.
Wiggy Wiggy.
Oh, she looks like she's.
Gracie
She looks
Ann.
like she's hungover from pie.
Oh, Gracie Ann. Christian, and Natalie, and Jackie, and Alex. I love this one, the 3 Marshalls. This was my birthday,
Yeah,
60th.
60th birthday, yeah.
And it was just a great party.
It was so fun. Oh, there's the party on the deck of the house.
It was out at Valley View. Here's Livy. That's Isaac.
That's Molly.
Molly there. Oh, it was so much fun.
All right.
That just seemed like it was yesterday. You realize that's 40 years ago?
Yeah.
No, it can't be.
Are
It'd be
you
20,
are you
20
100?
years.
You just got to
I just
100.
moved up another 20. We had a lot of wonderful parties out there.
Mom's 80th birthday.
Yeah, look at all the cars. That field's full. There's a parking lot. It was completely full of cars, completely.
Oh, these are good pictures. Molly's birthday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Here's Christian when he was a matador at school. Wow. We had a lot of fun at Valley View.
We were there for 22 years. This is a good album.
It's a
Are you a
great, it's a
catcher?
great
Oh, look at that.
building playground area. I'd have people go by on the dike and they'd holler out, "What are you building?" And I'd go, "I'm building a play set for the kids." "What?" I said, "I'm building." Russell Scott was the worst. No matter how many times I told him, he couldn't remember. These are
Okay.
great pictures.
This is Christmas 1997, a thought from the Marshall kids. So age 6 Alex, it's something you put in turkeys. We're talking about turkey stuffing. It's kind of a sloppy thing. You put it in a turkey's bottom, cover it with a bun.
Cover it with a bun. Who wrote that?
Alex.
Alex. Oh, I would kind of work on
It's
him.
a story of turkey stuffing.
Here's spring training here. We had so many years there. Oh, we just loved it. Because we bought a lot in Phoenix at the same time we bought the lot in Yuma, 2000. And so we spent a lot more time in Phoenix once we retired. Where are we at there? It's a hot tub.
I know Mom and John are with us.
It's a whole different life when you're an RVer.
That's a good picture.
So here's a picture of myself, my sister Betty, Andy, and Al. We've got Mickey Mouse ears on. I don't know why.
My brother had a band, and they would always close their shows with singing
Yeah.
the
Mickey Mouse
Mickey
song.
Mouse song, you know, MICKEYMOUSE. They'd have their ears
Which
on,
one?
so
Yeah.
that's probably where they came from. Teresa, I think this is you, honey.
The pink pants. That would be typical of me.
I think it is, honestly. I don't know why I think that. I think because of the pink pants.
Here's a pool table that was the laundry table in our house on 211.
We were there for 30 years.
But most of the time we never played pool.
I was going to say that was my folding table. This picture is of our kids. This is Carlene, Teresa, Robin, Diana, Nancy, Annette, Renee, Jamie, and the King Jim. His term, not mine. Oh, kidding.
Here we are having a family meeting with Barbara and Robin, Renee. It's not going well. No, I'd have meetings with
Family
I'd have
meetings.
meetings with all of you, and then I'd
Yeah.
interview you each one personally what your goals were and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I have my file.
I wanted
Yeah,
I wanted to know what you were going to do with your life.
Mine was all over the place.
But at least you were thinking. You know, when you were raising our kids, those were the best years of our life. We had so much fun with these guys.
Yep. And you know something? It's not like looking back and thinking, well, that was a great time in our lives. We enjoyed it at the time.
We were in it with
Yeah,
them. You know?
yeah.
We're proud of all of them, every one of them. Proud of every one of our grandchildren.
No, they're raising their kids like, hopefully we raised ours, I
And
think.
I hope our
mean,
great grandchildren turn out as good.
they have a good
That's
start.
yet to be seen.
They have a good start. Aw.
Who's that? Oh, Isaac. No.
You'll get there.
Are you getting all this? Oh, good.
You never know what you're going to find, JoJo. Here's a picture I don't ever want anyone to see.
Mom, show it.
Oh, God. What is going on with me?
Papa, those shorts are quite
I mean,
short.
shorts are short. And I got my mitts
Mom,
full.
how did you-
Oh, no.
How did you let him out of the
Oh,
house? How did you
JoJo, turn it off.